Often I've woken up from a drunken stupor, empty cans falling from my bed onto the sleeping mass of bodies all around me and thought, where and who the hell am I? Luckily, this is merely short-term memory loss brought about by my nightly excesses, and soon the voices come back to me again begging me to kill. But what if I'd totally forgotten who I was or what I was doing? Well, that, my friends, is called amnesia, or as it's technically known, colossal brain farts. Amnesia is an effective, if overused, storytelling device as it keeps a character's past unclear but still draws investment from players, viewers, and readers as they try to unravel this tangled mess of memory lanes. So today we're going to take a look at some of the best forget-me-nots who forgot me lots in gaming. But by best, what we really mean are characters who had the darkest pasts, the craziest reveals, or those who gained the most from unlocking their memories. With this in mind, I'm Jules, your Northeast knobhead for WhatCulture.com, and this is the 10 most unforgettable video game amnesiacs. Number 10. Number 13. Unlucky for some, 13 is a game which sees the main protagonist wash ashore with no memories whatsoever, which is obviously quite serious, but it's made even more serious when the game alludes that you've just assassinated the President of the United States. In an attempt to uncover who actually turned the insides of the President's head to the outsides, 13 has to rat-a-tat-tat his way through countless enemies, including the most vicious and terrifyingly named of all, the Mongoose. Alright? But here's the thing, we never actually get true closure on our memory lapse mission. We actually find out that we were just some dude who underwent plastic surgery to look like another person so he could be framed for the murder, but beyond this, we're just as clueless as when we first started. The game even ends on a to be continued that never was, which is a real shame, as despite David Duchovny's sleeping pill vocal delivery, this was a really interesting and enjoyable title. Number 9. Cammy, the Street Fighter series. The Street Fighter cast are a rowdy lot, aren't they? Frequently doling out beatings and receiving harder knocks than negative YouTube comments to my self-confidence. Therefore, it's actually surprising to see that besides Sagat's wound chest given to him by Ryu, there's no one other than Cammy who suffers long-term damage. Cammy was once the servant of M. Bison, but after she rebelled, he wiped her mind to keep her under control. So that's one round of amnesia. Then Dhalsim helped her break free once more, and she again took the fight to Big Red, where she was knocked unconscious with another brain wipe. So that's 2 trips down memoryless lane. Although, to be honest, it's not exactly a past you'd want to remember, as when Cammy worked with Mr. Psycho Crusher, she garnered all sorts of hate by committing atrocities in the name of Shadaloo. That being said, she used this guilt to mold a better life for those around her by working with us Brits to put a stop to her former master. Number 8. John Vatic, Second Sight. Second Sight contains so much amnesia that I even forgot the main character's name apparently the last time I spoke about him on one of these lists. I called him Jack Vatic for some reason, and I'm really not sure why. Maybe it was a typo, maybe it was the 3 lines of icing sugar I just buffed up my toot before the take. Who knows? What I do know is that John Vatic was a mentally unstable being. At the beginning of the game, we awake as John in a medical research lab and have no understanding as to what's going on, nor why we're looking like a half-eaten roast rump. It also turns out that John possesses powerful psychic talents which are at once really cool, but also really odd. As the game progresses, we experience flashbacks, flash-forwards, and all other manner of time-bending, and it's only towards the end of the game that everything finally starts to make sense. It turns out that what John thinks is the present is actually the future, and the flashbacks we were having are his real timeline. It's confusing at first, but it actually means that John gave himself amnesia with precognition, that he'd actually projected himself so far that he disassociated his mind from the present and therefore existed without a past, which is utterly mental and for that reason alone deserves its place on this list. Number 7. Talk, The Suffering. The Suffering is a bleak action game stuffed to the gullet with gore. Throughout the game you play as Talk, a laughably named but altogether bad mamma jamma who's serving time for killing his wife and 2 kids. Nasty for sure, but the game makes sure that you take note that Talk blacked out and remembers nothing of the murders. So there's a mystery afoot, and all that stands in your way is an entire prison of ghosts, monsters, and mutants all looking to rip you asunder, which on second thought I'd probably leave to somebody else to sort out. As you play the game, harnessing the darkness and rage within Talk, you turn yourself into a monstrous being, and you start to see more and more messed up things, one of which is your dead wife guiding you through the madness. But this only serves to make Talk's anger and possible guilt spiral out of control, all of which results in you tearing new love holes in everything you see. The ending and result of Talk's amnesia depends on how you treat people you find on the island. Help them and you'll find that your family was murdered on the orders of somebody called the Colonel. If you choose to hurt people, then it turns out that you done did the killings. which does feel a bit anticlimactic. But the most haunting ending is if you play a mixture of good criminal, bad criminal. In this neutral ending, it turns out that Torque accidentally killed his wife and his kids committed suicide as they blame him for taking her away from them. It's quite a painful ending, especially when Torque decides to kill his rescuers and then flees into the woods of the island, consumed by his guilt, but with enough forethought not to return to society where he might hurt others. It's a great game, and this little amnesia trick gives the ending a real sense of weight. Number 6. The Spirit Ghost Trick. Now, not many games start you off dead, but that's the premise of Ghost Trick, and Ghost Trick is mad as balls. You start out looking at a dead body and you're told that you're now a spirit. You've got no idea of what happened before or who you are or were, and you have to solve the mystery of what the chuff is going on before the dawn of the next day, or else you'll turn into ghost dust. Okay, so far so spoopy. Using the game's trick mechanic, you can manipulate the game's world to help allies and defeat foes, which makes for some really interesting puzzles and quick response actions. As the game progresses and we try to learn more about Sissel, that's your name's past, it becomes clear that things are anything but, well, clear. Turns out that that wasn't you at the beginning, but was actually the body of a man called Yomiel. You were killed just before he was, and you were a cat in a suitcase. Obviously. And while this twist revelation seems absolutely insane, it's actually par for the course for this game, which has already seen time-traveling dogs, detectives being killed by meteors, and somebody else getting killed by a birthday party trick gone wrong. It's madness and you'll never see it coming, which makes this Amnesiac reveal all the more charmingly insane. Number 5. Daniel, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I mean, it's in the title, so of course Amnesia: The Dark Descent is going to be on the list, but unlike all of the other entries on here, Amnesia uses memory loss to bolster its survival horror elements. Playing as Brit-born Daniel, you've had a bit of a lapse in memory and a bit of a lapse in bowel control as you've been hunted by awful beasties all the way through a creepy castle. As you begin to uncover notes from yourself which fill in the blanks, it's revealed that you wiped your own mind in order to block out all of the horrors you committed with fellow nasty bastard Alexander. Torturing people, killing kids, wanton destruction of boxes, all are on Daniel's personal naughty list. The story is compelling alone, but the amnesia which plagues Daniel actually helps draw power from the player and makes his environment seem that much more oppressive and terrifying. After all, having to walk down a scary corridor is bad enough, but when you've forgotten that Ben Potter and his lecherous hands are waiting for you round the corner, it's even worse. Number 4. Ford Cruller, Psychonauts. Obligatory statement here. Psychonauts is a great game and you should all make sure you play it at least once in your life. Why? Here's why. It's original, well-acted, funny, challenging, and downright charming. But also because of this chap, Ford Cruller. As you play the game, you might notice this Hey Arnold football-headed looking dude all over the camp. Weirdly though, he doesn't seem to recognise you despite seeing you again and again, and also he seems to change his personality wildly. Well, you see, the mysterious moustache man is none other than Ford Cruller, a powerful psychonaut who got his mind blown to pieces during a vicious psychic battle. In order to keep his mind together, he needed to stay near a large deposit of psychic rock that's found under the camp. And every time he ventures away from this source, he gets, you guessed it, amnesia, which forces one of his many fragmented brain bits to kick in and he just takes on a random role. It's kind of sad when you think about it, but then again, he's actually quite hilarious and he also lives in your ear and is summoned by bacon. Seriously, if that's not a sentence which makes you want to play it, I don't know what will. Number 3. Terra, Final Fantasy VI. Terra from Final Fantasy VI has had a pretty rough upbringing. From having her mother being offed by a greedy emperor to having her father kidnapped, Terra herself was taken from her home and raised by her abductors as a living weapon. As she was a potent magical being known as an Esper, a crown was placed on her which robbed her of her free will. What followed was an existence of slavery and abuse, culminating in a scene in which totem pole-sized tosser Kefka orders her to kill 50 soldiers just to display her power. Throughout the game, we're given more and more glimpses into this backstory, and it only serves to motivate the player to fight harder against the Empire's tyrannical grip. By spending time with humans, Terra learns to love and trust, which in the ending moments is the reason why she's allowed to exist, thus proving England Dan and John Ford Coley right in their 1977 cover of the band Utopia's song Love Is the Answer that love is indeed the answer. I'm not entirely sure I went down that path. It doesn't even feel like a joke. Oh, I don't care. Is it worth it? Is it a joke? Is that a joke? Yes. Number 2. Darth Revan, Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic was such a breath of fresh air that it even made Wampus say, "Damn son, that cool." It gave unprecedented freedom to explore and so many ways to customize your character that it really felt like a personal and considered experience. Hours honing my saber skills, using the power of the Force to manipulate conversations, and patenting a run away like a coward win strategy in the battle arenas. I did it because I felt connected to the universe, so much so that a very recent chant of "I am one with the Force and the Force is one with me" feels very apt. Therefore, nothing prepared me for the great late-game reveal that there was more to my relationship with Darth Malak than first meets the eye. Throughout the game, you're told of the great evil that Malak and his master Revan spread across the galaxy, how they almost crushed the heart of the universe until Malak betrayed his master in his conquest for power. At first, you see this as just a plot device, something to make Malak seem even more diabolical as he slaughtered his own master. But it turns out that you are Revan. This is mind-blowing for the player, as it turns you from a simple soldier in Bastila's army to one of the most powerful Force users in existence. The best thing about this revelation is that it still invokes player choice. It's up to you whether you want to fight against your old self and undo the damage you've done, or it gives you the opportunity to take up the mantle as the baddest lad or lass in the galaxy. And number 1, Link, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Okay, so as this is a very new game, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers for the highest rating Zelda game since Skyward Sword. Do you remember that? Do you remember that Skyward Sword got also the loads of 10 out of 10s, but no one's kind of talking about that now, are they? Just saying that. But anyway, no spoilers, but we need to address why this Link is quite possibly the greatest amnesiac in gaming. Link begins his journey with as many memories as women I've slept with this year. Absolutely none. But as he sets out to explore the vast and beautiful world around him, he begins to discover stories of an ancient civilization undone by evil. He learns of divine beasts, of princesses, and the great entity known as Calamity Ganon. He also learns about how a hero was wounded 100 years ago in battle with this great evil, and that we are that hero, resurrected and ready to try again. It's utterly fantastic to experience the story unfold, and Link's memories connect through exploring the world and learning through fragmented flashbacks. This isn't a shock twist, but instead a slow burner of revelation, and for that it makes the story feel so much more powerful. And you know what? These memories actually feel impactful, as if you finish the game without unlocking these moments, the game will actually end on a bittersweet note. Now, as I said, no spoilers, but it makes you want to fill in the gaps. It's beautiful and superbly paced. I honestly wished I could have my own mind wipe so I could go back and do it all again. Ah well, I can but try. And that's our list. Got any more video game members who lost their memories? Well, let me know about them in the comments section below. And why not swing by the site whatculture.com for more news and daily articles. I've been Jules, you can follow me here on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, and we'll speak soon.